people won't tell you about being a nurse. You're welcome everyone to another episode of Nursing with Abby. We are going to be discussing this very debatable topic today. It actually relates to me, so you have your own opinions. Please make sure you drop in the comment section below. But before we delve into the topic for today, I'd like to thank all of you. I'd like to thank all of my subscribers for always stopping by, for always supporting this channel. Thank you so much. The love is so immense. I really appreciate you, and I'd love for you to also go through my previous videos so that you can learn a lot about nursing content and valuable information. So if you're watching me for the first time, I said you're welcome to Nursing with Abby. My name is Nurse Abiodun. I'm a nurse, I'm a midwife, I'm a public health advocate, and I love what I do. So on Nursing with Abby, we talk about nursing, we talk about lifestyle, and we talk about everything in between. So today I'm going to be talking about 7 awful things they won't tell you about being a nurse. Yes, 7 things they won't tell you about being a nurse. So in case you're preparing to study to be a nurse, I'm giving you this secret right now for you to just prepare. I'm not discouraging you because nursing is the most noble profession of all, but I want you to get your guards right, get your information right, and be on guard, because these awful things will sure happen to you within the course of your nursing career. Counting from the time I finished my school of nursing up to this moment, I think I have about 14 years down the line. So I can say I have quite a number of experiences. I've worked both in the medical side, in the surgical side, majorly in the maternity, motherhood, and neonatal and childhood areas. So I think I have this much information that I can give. But like I said, if you have more information to give, or you want to contradict what I am saying, just dive into my comment section. I'd love to listen to you. So I'm going to give you 7 awful things they won't tell you about being a nurse. The first thing is that we all know that nurses are well paid. At least in the larger part of the developed countries, they are well paid. They are given a better salary package. They are given accommodation. A lot of them are given medical insurances. A lot of them are being placed at highly placed situations or second positions in the society. But you have to work for the money. Yes, you have to work for the money. You don't just get your salary at the end of the month on the platter of gold. You really have to work for it, especially when you have to migrate to another area, another country, or you have to prepare for your examinations, your council examinations. It is a big deal, because you really have to work for it. You have to strive to get your licensing, to get your certifications, to get your registrations with the Nursing and Midwifery Council in whatever state or country that you want to work or practice in. So it's not just the money coming to your table. You will have done a lot of work having to keep yourself abreast of the patient's condition and situation. You have to really be on your toes to ensure that your shift is seamlessly calm. And even if it is chaotic, you have to do all you can to ensure that you give the best possible care. You can imagine having to, do all that within a 12 hours window, and you still have to be accountable for every situation, every step of the way. So to get highly paid as a nurse is not a child's play. You really have to be on your toes, and you have to defend your certification at every point in time. Another thing is long hours of endless or sleepless shifts. So if you're the kind of person that you don't joke with your night sleep, I'm so sorry to disappoint you. Let me burst your bubble. You have so many sleepless nights as a nurse. You have so many sleepless nights as a nurse. Yes, because the hospital is made up of, especially the main hospital that you have admissions. I'm not talking of clinics, and I'm not talking of day hospitals. I'm talking of hospitals that they admit, do surgeries over the night and all that. So you definitely always have patients on the ward, and you need nurses to take care of them. And majorly in most department, they try to ensure that the shifting is spaced. That means that it's evenly distributed. That means that there will be a rotation of duties. For those who are in the day clinics, they will also come to the ward area, and for those in the ward area, also moving on to the day centers. So everybody has a fair share of night shifts. So for every nurse, always put that at the back of your mind, that night shift is always gonna be part of nursing. Yes, and that night shift, you can't afford to doze, you can't afford to sleep except you're on break. So you have to be alert, you have to be active, you have to be alive even at night. But it's a beautiful experience because by the end of your shift and you're able to give account of what has happened, it shows the prestige and the integrity of the nurse that you are. Okay, so another thing is that there is easy fatigability and serious burnouts. You can imagine having to spend 12 hours, sometimes 14 hours. Some even go to the extent of 16 hours a day on a shift. And then you have to repeat the same process, barely having enough time to sleep. And there are even some quarters that even having to go through such long hours, you have to spend another 3-4 hours in traffic before getting home. And then you get home, your mother, you have to take care of your children, you're a wife, you have to take care of your husband, you have to communicate with your family members, and you barely have 3 hours to sleep. And then the shift continues, another shift continues again in the next day. Now, if you continue like this back to back for a whole week, at most 2 weeks, your body would definitely complain. So a lot of nurses are easily fatigued because of the long hours of work. Okay, and then quite a number of us will try to make sure that we finish up our shift, our duties as at when due, but sometimes it's just not possible. So instead of ending your shift at 8 p.m, you probably have a lot more things to do and you have to stretch it to maybe 9 or 9:30. So sometimes it just gets so much into us that we get to burn out. And it's also very important for the management of hospitals to try and ensure that this is regulated, especially the long hours of shifts. For some places in Nigeria, we have 3 shifts, which is a bit more flexible for us because you can have 5 duty shifts for morning and then you can have 2 days off. And that morning will be 8 to probably 3 p.m. or 2 p.m. And then we have some other nurses coming in the afternoon, which is the shorter afternoon from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. And we have those from 6 p.m. to the next morning. So we with that, we had less burnout. So if other departments can adopt such to reduce burnout and easy fatigability of nurses, it will be so highly appreciated. If there had been any point that nurses had to lay off and tell themselves they are no longer working, it was actually 2020. The COVID pandemic era, because a lot of nurses were actually burnt out and a lot of us had to resign voluntarily because our bodies just could not cope anymore. Another thing is the risk of infection. Yes, we are at high risk of infection. As much as we are the closest to the client, as much as we are the ears and the eyes of the client to the other members of the health team, we are also at the receiving end of a whole world of infection. If you doubt me, you remember in 2020, the year of the pandemic, that so many nurses lost their lives, so many nurses were sick, so many nurses had long complications from COVID just because we care for such patients. And indeed, we have to. Even with our protective equipment, with the fully geared up and fully prepared for the work, there's still risks of infection. And so many of us had to lay down our lives even at that time. And for all those who have lost someone during the COVID pandemic, we sympathize with you. Another thing is risk of musculoskeletal disorders. Yes, so many nurses have injuries, spinal injuries, slipped disc, they have severe back pains, they have spondylosis, so many infections, so many musculoskeletal disorders that stems out of long period of standing. Yes, long period of time, because as a nurse, you have to stand, you have to give medications, you have to walk, you have to move, you have to be active and alert. So at those periods, stretching those shifts for a long period of time, like years, could definitely have the detrimental effect on our musculoskeletal system, which will cause a lot of women, a lot of nurses having slipped disc, which is quite painful. Sincerely, it is. Then also we could be at the receiving end of a lot of maltreatment or brutality from patients, relatives, or families, especially those that they feel or think that nurses didn't do so much, or they didn't do enough, or they didn't do what they're supposed to do and all that. Most of us have been physically abused or molested because of the angry relatives or family members. Majorly, nurses are the worst hit at this period. Yes, we are the worst hit. So we really have to be careful and make sure that we quickly identify the violent ones and get the security on guard so that they can curb any form of intending molestation or abuse to nurses. Also, there is hardly any holidays. Yes, I can't even remember the last time I spent Christmas in my house. Yes, it's as bad as that. Yes, so all through the public holidays, we expect that nurses are always on duty. It's glorifying because even sometimes the patient relatives or the relatives of the clients or other nurses, they bring in food stuff and they bring in some Christmas cookies, and we celebrate Christmas even on duty. That doesn't mean that because you are not given the Christmas day, you could probably get your holiday some other days, but on that particular day, somebody has to be in the hospital, somebody has to take care of the sick, somebody has to be attending to clients. So definitely it has to be nurses. So it's a strange one, but for us, we are used to it. Either holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year, breaks, salad breaks, and all that. Most of us at most times we are always on duty, and we are proud and we are happy to do so. So those are the 7 awful things that they won't tell you when you want to become a nurse. You get into the system and you're wondering, can I ever have my Christmas free to myself? Let me burst your bubble. It might not be possible anymore. But it's still very interesting to be a nurse because you get to enjoy the profession, the nobility of the profession. You get to care, you get to take care of someone, people right from the time they are born all to the time that they die. And the nurses are always in between such segments all through the cycle of life. So I'm glad to be a nurse. I'm always glad to go through these awful things about being a nurse. And as a nurse, tell me, what awful things do you think you had to go through as being a nurse? I would like to see your comment in the comment section. Just put hashtag awful things about being a nurse, and then you can tell us what it is and how you were able to cope with it or manage it. So till I see you in my next episode of Nursing with Abby, from the team here we are signing out. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. See you on the next episode of Nursing with Abby. Bye for now.